He thought that they were his comrades. As he fought a giant dragon, he wasn't worried because he thought that his comrades always had his back, and they did, at least back then. After slaying the red dragon with his party, he thought that they were supposed to stay together forever. As they camped by the dragon's corpse, he asks about the next job. The sage tells him that they are about to fight another dragon. The saintess sees him looking worried and assures him that he will be fine. He corrects her and says that they will be fine as a team. He wondered where all the camaraderie went when he saw the blood on his hand, with a hole in his chest caused by his own party mates. He asks why they would do such a thing. The mage says that it was to be expected of him to survive their attack. The sage says that there was no wonder the kingdom put a bounty on him. He stops them and tells them to give him a reason. The saintess asks him to forgive them as it pains them to betray him too. He again shouts at her to give him a reason for the betrayal. She simply tells him that it's because he is a monster, the sole S-rank warrior of the nation. Thanks to him, they were able to fend off all the monsters. But now that the monsters' numbers have dwindled, the next threat for them was a monster like him. The sage chips in and says that a single dragon could bring down a whole nation. So it's simple for a dragon slayer to bring a nation down too. He says that he would never do such a thing. The saintess asks what if he changed his mind in the future while taking a sword from the mage and going towards him. He asks if she is really pointing a holy weapon at him. He tries to grab his weapon to fight back, but the sage binds him in magic chains and says that the only mercy they can offer him is to be killed by his own comrades. He tries to at least talk some sense into the fairy that was the most loyal to him. She laughs at him, saying how pathetic he looked. The mage says that her master's magic is incredible to bind even the weakened MC. He calls her and asks if this is some kind of mistake. She freezes, and the mage asks her to finish the job. She walks up to him to finish him off. He looks at her in the eye and asks if she too was a part of it. She falters and starts to cry. The others look disappointed, saying that the task was too heavy for her to handle. The saintess asks to take over, and the sage tells her to get it over with. She grabs her holy sword without hesitation and asks if he has any last words. He doesn't say anything, but before she swings, he looks at her with hate and tells her to remember the moment. She swings. Blood flies off her sword, and his head falls on the ground. But they didn't know that he was blessed by the phoenix. The miracle granted by the divine bird was immortality. In other words, he cannot die. 3 months later, in a remote village, the village is attacked by demonic bees. But the villagers weren't that worried about it because village Lugo was there. As the bees get close to them, he asks the village doctor, Lilim, to stay back. He prepares a pest control spell, and with one shot, the forest in front of him is decimated and the bees incinerated. The villagers all cheer. Lilim thinks that she has never seen such devastating magic in her life. She's suspicious of the masked man, Lugo. At the village elder's house, she slams the desk and says that something is off. The oblivious village elder asks what she means. She tells him that Lugo is way too strong. He killed demonic bees with one spell. Last week, he took down a whole pack of wolves by himself. The week before that, he scared off a cyclops just with a glare. And 3 weeks ago, he took down an entire band of thieves in a single night. The village elder says that Mr. Lugo has brought peace to the village. He says that he's right, but asks if he doesn't find it strange. The legendary S-rank Luke died 3 months ago, and Lugo showed up in the village around the same time. She tells the elder that Lugo killed the adventurer for the bounty on his head, and that's why he never takes his helmet off. The elder gets serious and says that if what she said was true, they would stand no chance against Lugo. He tells her that his philosophy is to not turn away those who come to his village. The more people the village has, the more lively it gets, and nothing bad has happened since Lugo appeared. She gives up on convincing him and says that she will investigate by herself. The village elder says that he asked Lugo to go deal with some black bears if she wants to find him. She asks the elder to stop treating monster extermination as a grocery errand. She goes into the forest by herself. Extending her hand, she asks minor spirits to guide her to Lugo. When the spirits appear, she asks them to let her know if there are any monsters in the way. She assumes that Lugo will have his guard down since he is alone, making it a perfect chance to uncover the truth. After walking for a while, she spots him sitting in the open. She wonders if he was sleeping. He tells her that he sensed someone approaching and went on alert, although he didn't expect it to be Lilim. She says that it was expected of him to find her so soon. She then screams, realizing that he was behind her, and asks how he got there so fast although he was on the ground before. He tells her that it was a decoy, and she sees it fading away. She says that no ordinary villager would do stuff like that. He laughs and asks why she's so far out in the forest. She starts sweating and says that she heard about the black bears and got worried about him. He tells her not to worry, as it is easy to deal with them with traps. She says that there is no way, as even royal knights can't handle black bears, so traps wouldn't work. He asks her to just watch him as he grabs the honey-filled beehive and drops it on the ground and casts gravity magic on the ground nearby. He says that it's a simple trap. She asks in what world is advanced magic like gravity considered simple. They hear the bears approach, and he asks her to hide. They hide in the bushes, and a bear appears out of the forest. It sees the honey on the ground, runs towards it, and as soon as it hits the trap, it gets pulled down, crushing all the bones in its body. Lilim can't believe it and asks if it's supposed to work so fast. He tells her to keep hiding as there are more coming. After a while, they had a mountain of bears, and he jokes about having bear stew for dinner. Even taking down one would be considered impressive, but so many at once. She stares at him with caution, wondering about his true identity. 3 months after the disappearance of the world's strongest adventurer, Luke Othahide, monstrous threats have been increasing rapidly across the world. Fields ravaged, livestock stolen, and distribution systems thrown into chaos. The effects of this have even reached the village of Azima. She's surprised to hear that the carriage was attacked. The man tells her that they were surrounded by sylphs and only managed to protect a little bit of the cargo. She looks through the boxes to see that her supplies were also stolen. She feels sad that she can't do her job like this. Suddenly, someone next to her screams. The old lady just found out that all the sweet buns were also stolen. Lilim tells the old lady that there are still sweet buns in the village. The old lady gets angry and tells her that the sweet buns she ordered were gourmet masterpieces with no equal. She feels like she wants to try one for herself. Just then, Lugo appears and asks why everyone is causing a ruckus. She tells him about the sylphs attacking the carriage, but she realizes that he is carrying cargo on him. The merchant says that it was the stolen cargo from his carriage. Lugo tells him that he found the sylphs celebrating with the cargo and brought it back with him. Lilim is happy that she can finally make the medicine and asks to see inside the cargo. While everyone is going through the cargo, Lilim notices Lugo looking and asks if anything is wrong. He tells her that there is too little cargo for the size of the carriage. The old lady screams again, says that her sweet buns are nowhere to be seen. Lilim quickly goes through her box to find it completely empty. Lugo curses at the sylphs and gets very angry. The villagers ask if it was an earthquake, but Lilim knows that it was because of Lugo's anger. She tells him to calm down. He storms off to the sylphs again, promising to get everything back this time. At the forest, Lugo asks why Lilim is following him, and she tells him that there is no real reason, but she wanted to observe a little. But in reality, she wanted to make sure that he doesn't lose control and accidentally sends the whole village flying. But they are not alone in the forest. A sylph stalks them from behind, and she says that he got her good last time, but this time she has a ton of traps ready and he will surely get wrecked this time. Just then he turns around, and before she even finishes her sentence, she gets burned and falls to the ground. He asks her to stop talking about her traps, and tells her to take him to their queen. The sylph hesitantly takes them to the deep forest. She tells him the queen's whereabouts and gives them a map marked with all the traps she has set along the way. With puppy dog eyes, she asks if he can release her now. He sternly refuses to let her go. She starts crying and says that the terrifying queen will kill her and pluck her wings and set her on fire and feed her to the frogs. Lilim feels bad and asks Lugo if they can let her go since they already have the map. The sylph is moved by the kind older sister's understanding, but Lugo lifts the sylph up by the rope and starts tickling her, during which she drops something. Lilim picks it up for her. They are panties, and they belong to Lilim. She asks how the sylph got them. Lugo tells her that it was a classic sylph move to use theft magic and create an opening for escape. Lilim, flustered, asks if it was true. The sylph says that there is no way she would do something like that and blames it on Lugo. Lilim calls her lies and says that even though Lugo is very suspicious, he's not that kind of suspicious. Lugo says that the sylphs are never truthful, and it's pointless believing in her. She tells them that it was just a moment of weakness. Lilim now gets angry and tells the sylph to take them to the queen fast. At the forest of the giant, the sylph nest is completely set on fire by Lugo. Some of them cry in fear. Some of them say that it's over for them, and others have already given up. As the sylphs frantically try to escape, the sylph they captured guides them to the queen while crying. She stops in front of the queen's chambers. Lilim asks if there are any traps there. The The sylph says that they don't put traps in a sacred place with a smirk. Both of them are very suspicious of her. Lilim asks if it wasn't suspicious, and Lugo agrees. She stops Lugo from casting a fireball, but it's too late. The door explodes, and the queen is on the ground, completely burnt. Lugo says that it was impressive that she didn't get blown away, but it was to be expected from the queen. The queen coughs, and Lilim is surprised that she is still alive. The queen stands up again and introduces herself as the fairy queen Tiemia, and tells them that magic of such low level has no effect on her while coughing out some blood. Lilim says that it's clearly affecting her. The queen gets angry and says that it didn't work on her. Her wounds start to heal as they speak. Lugo asks if it was the fairy king's blessing. The queen confirms and says that no one can lay a finger on her. Lilim says that there is no way, and the sylphs run to their queen to cheer for her, but the rope holds her back. Lugo walks up and says that he has some questions. He asks her to give back the cargo that they tricked and stole from him. The queen says that she has no idea what he means. He changes his question and asks why the sylphs are stealing human weapons and drugs, and what they plan to do with it. She asks if it wasn't obvious. They wanted war. She says that now that the strongest adventurer Luke is dead, they have the perfect opportunity to defeat the humans, and she will become the next demon king. She points her finger at Lilim, and before Lugo can even react, Lilim's soul gets stolen. Lugo just realized what happened, and she asks if he was surprised. She says that her theft magic can easily steal souls. The captured sylph applauds her queen and says that she is the #1 in the world. She then prepares to steal Lugo's soul, using advanced theft magic. Lugo can't dodge, or rather he doesn't have to. Her skill doesn't work. The captured sylph asks what's wrong, and Lugo explains that her magic only works on those with lesser magic power than herself. The sylphs say that there is no way an ordinary villager should possess more magic than a fairy queen. Lugo removes his helmet and says that he's not exactly normal. The queen says that it can't be him. The captured sylph asks if she knows him. The queen once heard from the previous queen that there are a few among the humans she should never cross, one of them being the strongest adventurer. She says that she heard he was dead. The captured sylph finally catches on and realizes that Lugo is the strongest adventurer all along. He demands the queen give back Lilim's soul and the cargo. He casts gravity magic below them, and they immediately fall to the ground. The captured sylph says that she's about to be crushed. The queen refuses to give in and tries to resist. He asks if the queen has reflected on her actions. She answers that she would never do such a thing. As a queen, she wouldn't be fulfilling her duty if she just submitted to him. She thinks that everything would have been fine if only it wasn't him. She tells him that she can't afford to lose to him. He sighs and removes his gravity magic. She gets confused and asks why he would cancel the spell instead of killing her. He says that he had one more thing to ask. She wipes the dirt from her face and asks what more he can ask. He asks why she even wanted to start a war in the first place. They could have stayed hidden in the nest and lived peacefully, occasionally stealing sweets. Her hands tremble when she tells him that he doesn't understand anything they've been through. Ever since he disappeared, the larger monsters started going rampant. As a result, weaker races like the sylphs have been driven out. Even when she begged the humans for help, they turned her away at the gates, looking at her like any other monster. That's why she decided to defeat and occupy the human kingdom. He asks if it was to shield themselves. She goes on to explain that even if the war didn't work, it would make the humans realize the threat of the monsters again, and that way they would be too busy fighting other monsters to bother the sylphs. The weak monsters will keep getting hunted if she doesn't do anything. He is impressed by how thorough her plans were, but she says that he stopped them effortlessly even with all that planning. She then calls his name and bows to him, saying that he can take her life but spare her comrades in exchange. He walks up to her and asks her to come to his village. She shoots up, surprised. He promises to protect all the sylphs. She can't believe it. He also asks her not to attack the humans with such reckless plans, and that there are plenty of humans as strong as him in the capital. She wonders if there are really more monsters like him and asks if he was serious. He says that he is telling the truth. She can see if anyone is lying. So she gives up and says that they won't attack humans anymore and tells him that he better protect them well while extending her hand. He takes her hand and promises. 2 weeks later in the village, Lilim delivers her medicine to the elder. He apologizes for troubling her with it, and she tells the elder to thank Lugo instead. The elder says that he makes sure to thank him at least once a day. Thanks to him, the medical herbs and the other herbs all returned back to the village, and she can continue her apothecary work safely. She asks the elder what he thinks about the village now. The elder says that the village has become way better than before. He asks if that isn't the case to the old lady. The old lady is busy eating her sweet buns with the fairy queen. The large number of sylphs who ended up in the village started helping around with carrying goods, patrolling the outskirts, and taking care of the elderly, like giving them shoulder massages. They blended into village life before they knew it. The elder says that the cooperative relationship with the sylphs, suggested by Lugo, may help the village grow, but Lilim is still doubtful after having her panties and soul stolen by the little monsters. Just then, the queen tugs on Lilim's clothes and asks if Lilim knows if Lugo likes sweet buns too, since she is so close with him. Lilim says that she doesn't know, but everyone should like sweets. She asks why the queen wants to know something like that. The queen says that she wants to share them with Lugo with a bright smile. Lilim is moved by the cuteness and immediately hugs the queen. The queen struggles and asks Lilim to let go. The elder calls them and reminds them about the official visit from the capital inspection team. If the sylphs don't behave, they might be exterminated as monsters. The elder says that it should be fine since the sylphs are so cute. The elder is sure that the inspectors will come to love the village. Lilim says that it's better to be cautious. She says that she is counting on the queen as the leader of sylphs. The queen grabs a sweet bun and promises to give the best hospitality in the name of the sweet bun, and the sylphs' overwhelming sweetness. Lilim doesn't have the heart to tell the queen that the sweet buns were imported from the capital. The route to the village is smooth without any monsters being sighted, as is noted on the report by Guild investigator Luluel. Her main duty is to study monster ecology, but this time the investigation is rather unusual. Her companion says that the villagers are being tricked by the sylphs. She tells him to explain, and he tells her that sylphs are sly, mischievous, and more dangerous than they appear. Adventurers ranked below C rank get toyed with and taken out in no time, and in this case, these are simple villagers who stand no chance. She says that was the exact reason why she brought him, who is a B rank adventurer. He says that he will prove himself and move up to A rank with this case. Even if they show the slightest suspicious movement, he says that he will cut them down without hesitation. Just then, they hear loud commotion outside. Both of them are alarmed. Luluel asks him to look outside. She asks if it was one of the sylphs playing a prank. As soon as he notices the outline of the monster in front, he tells the driver to move fast, but it was too late. The death worm was already on them. Luluel starts to note down everything in excitement since it's her first time seeing a death worm. Garam, the adventurer, tells her that it's not the time to be spectating as they might get crushed if they are caught. She tells him to take care of it since he was hired as an escort for these situations. He tells her that even an A rank wouldn't be able to take it down. As soon as they knew they were screwed, the whole cabin gets dark. When they turn around, the death worm is right there. Luluel says that it was way bigger than she expected, and it had them completely trapped. Luluel asks if she has enough time to finish writing her will, and Garam is also giving up on life. When the worm starts crushing the carriage, Garam prepares to die fighting and jumps out of the window with his sword. As the death worm and Garam charge at each other, Lugo appears behind the worm. The worm notices him behind it, but it's too late. Its head gets cut off. Garam can't believe his eyes. Luluel thinks that Garam beat the worm. He tells her that it wasn't him. He points at Lugo and says that it was him. They thank Lugo for escorting them to the village, and he says that it's no big deal and asks them to go meet the village chief first. Luluel asks Garam to at least thank Lugo properly. She asks if it was that embarrassing for a B rank like him to be outdone by a regular villager. Garam tells her to shut up and thinks that there's no way Lugo was a regular villager. As they reach the elder's house, the elder welcomes them with the Queen Tiamia in a special pose. The investigators don't react and introduce themselves like normal people. The queen says that the old man said this pose was supposed to totally hype the investigators up. The elder says that the city folk vibe differently. Luluel says that they would like to begin immediately and look around the whole village. She explains that they have never heard about monsters living peacefully with humans before, and since it's a first, they would like to be thorough with the investigation. The queen and the elders say that they can look around all they want, and that the sylphs have been helping out a lot around the village. The queen asks Lugo to come with them also, and he agrees. She runs to him and locks her hand around his. Garam states that the sylph who called herself the queen was no ordinary sylph. She hasn't shown a single opening since they arrived. Lugo is just tired of walking. Luluel thinks that Lugo's strength comes from his vigilance around the sylphs. She uses her skill on the queen, and a bunch of information gets displayed to her. Most impressive among them is the Fairy King's blessing. Garam asks if it was impressive, and she says that it was totally worth coming all the way to the remote village for. The elder shows up between them and says that the queen is the cutest and most adorable girl, and they won't find someone like her even in the royal capital. Luluel wants to know more about her, but she is more curious about Lugo. She tries to use the same skill on Lugo, but nothing shows up other than his first name. Even the information that is displayed is impossible to read. The skill shatters, and his face appears in front of her, telling her that he would prefer if she didn't pry further. She ignores his warning and tries to use her skill again. He tells her to stop poking her nose where it doesn't belong. She staggers on her feet, but Lugo catches her. She asks if he is even human, and he tells her that it's better for her not to know his identity. She takes the threat and slowly walks away from him. Using her skill took a toll on her brain. Garam asks if she's all right, but she tells him that she has a headache. The queen says that she knows where she can take them first, to Lilim's clinic. The queen proudly guides them to a shabby-looking building. Garam says that the place looks seriously run down. Luluel tells Garam to stop being rude, but she also doesn't feel comfortable getting treated there. Lugo knocks on the door, and Lilim quickly opens the door, already knowing that Luluel was the patient and her condition. Luluel wonders if a kid like Lilim can actually be a doctor. Lilim guides them inside while saying that everything is already ready. When they are inside, Garam asks if they don't have a real doctor while assuming that Lilim was an assistant. The sylph queen shouts at Garam for being so rude. Lilim agrees and says that she is nothing as fancy as a doctor. The queen swears that Lilim is an amazing doctor. Garam says that there's no way since she looks so young. Luluel stops him and says that she can smell the herbs on her, so strong that it's soaked into her, and there's no way that would happen unless she handled herbs every day. Luluel understands that Lilim is more experienced than she looks. Lilim asks Luluel to lie down and rest before extending her hands and calling on the minor spirits to scan Luluel's body to understand her condition. Luluel asks if Lilim has a blessing, and Lilim confirms that she does, an ability to work with the minor spirits to heal people. Luluel wonders how so many people in the village have blessings. Lilim says that the flow of magical energy is disrupted in Luluel, which is causing the headaches. Luluel asks how she can find that out so fast. Lilim praises her minor spirits and says that they are very talented. Lilim tells Paisha the sylph to bring 2 different medicines. Garam is surprised that Lilim has an assistant. Paisha comes out with 2 different containers and hands them to Lilim. Garam can't believe that a sylph is allowing a human to call her by her name. Lilim gives the medicine to Luluel, one to ease the headache and one to adjust magical flow. Luluel is impressed that they keep medicine in stock, as even in the capital it takes ages to get medicine. Lilim says that it's thanks to Paisha and the other sylphs who know everything about the forest herbs. She says that she just combines the herbs that they gather, and that allows them to keep rare and expensive medicines in stock, the same stuff they had to import from the capital. Even though the logic checks out, she can't believe that the sylphs would help humans find the herbs. Everyone is eagerly waiting for her to try the medicine. She takes the medicine, and to her surprise, the headache vanishes instantly. She tells Lilim that this kind of fast-acting power of the medicine is unheard of even in the capital. Lilim says that's to be expected of her medicine, and Paisha says that she helped make it. While they celebrate another successful recovery, Luluel plots that it would be a waste to leave Lilim in such a backwater village and asks if she ever considered going to the capital. With her level of skills, she would be in high demand in the capital. The guild would back her, and she could run a much bigger clinic. Lilim refuses to go. Luluel, in denial of what she just heard, proceeds to talk about the process of bringing Lilim over to the capital, but she finally realizes and asks Lilim to repeat her answer. And Lilim refuses again. Luluel says that she could have better equipment, her salary would skyrocket, and she would have a lot of room for advancement. Lilim says that she loves the Azima village. Even though she would be interested in having better equipment, that would only be because she wants to help the people in her village. If she left the place, it would cause a lot of trouble to the others. And besides, she has little helpers who help her grow as an apothecary. She says that the sylphs know everything about the herbs, and they even warn her ahead of time when visitors are coming. She remembers how Lilim knew her condition even before she entered the place. The queen is proud of the sylphs information network that reports everything around the village. She also says that she is not interested in going to the capital even before Luluel asks, as she has no reason to leave the safest place in the world where Lugo resides. Garam says that after he saw Lugo's skills up close, he would like to see Lugo's daily routine. Luluelle says that she's also curious about it. Lugo clears his throat and says that they can follow him if they can keep up with him. In the forest, a few moments later, while running for their life, Luluelle says that she regrets ever asking to follow Lugo. She says that she can't take it anymore while on the brink of crying, being followed by 2 more deathworms. Garam says that if she has time to scream, she can run. Another massive deathworm appears behind them. The Elder and the Queen chill on the sidelines, and Luluelle tells them to run quickly from the natural disaster level threat. The Elder has a sip of his tea and says that it happens all the time. He asks if they want some tea as well, and both of them shout and say that it isn't the time for tea. Garam grabs the old man and tells him that a massive deathworm isn't a run-of-the-mill monster, and Luluelle tells the old man to quickly call for reinforcements from the capital. But suddenly, the monsters go quiet. When they turn around, the smaller worms are already dead. They ask how the monsters died so fast without any damage. The Sylph Queen explains that it was her theft magic, and that dealing with those monsters is as easy as breathing for her. They get surprised that she can steal a soul. She tells them that nothing is safe from the theft magic, and Garam says that it's an awesome power. Luluelle asks the Sylph to take care of the massive worm too, but the Queen explains that the massive worm seems to be immune to her theft magic. She asks Lugo to deal with the monster for her. He tells her that it will be a tricky monster to deal with because of the core on its forehead, which resists magic attacks. Garam says that it's best if they retreated and waited for reinforcements. Lugo notices that Garam is carrying a very nice sword and asks if he can borrow it for a while. After taking the sword, he prepares to fight the deathworm head-on. The Queen asks him to take it down with one strike. He accepts her challenge. The worm lunges at him with full speed. He uses the stance he used to use when he was an adventurer. Luluelle immediately recognizes the stance and knows that it belongs to the strongest adventurer. After taking one step in front of the worm, he disappears. The worm tries to find him, but it's already been cut in half. The Queen cheers for him, and the Elder asks the inspectors if they finally realize that they have a guardian to guard their village from any threat. The investigators force a smile and say that they understand perfectly. After leaving the village, Luluelle writes that the sylphs in the Great Forest have moved to the village and coexist with the villagers. They bring their knowledge of advanced agriculture, dexterity that advances industry, and mobility that develop the distribution and information networks. With the aging population of the Azima village, the assistance from the sylphs is a blessing to the elders. They are cooperative with the humans as they believe that's the safest place for them, and that's all thanks to... She stops her report there and wonders if she should write about Lugo. Garam pushes her to write about Lugo so the guild can capitalize on his immense talent. Luluelle is surprised that Garam is respectful to someone for once in his life. He says that he has to make sure to tell the guildmaster about Lugo and get him on board. Luluelle agrees to write about him in the report, but when she asked if he had any plans to go to the capital, he refused outright. She figured he would refuse after hearing about the others, but he tells her that she might be able to recruit the other 2 if she kept persisting. She asks if he is being serious. He explains that if she was making efforts to reach them, there might be a chance. She wonders if that applied to him as well. She says that they need a new hero after the strongest adventurer died. Garam says that she finally understands. Luluelle says that her friend Lisha once told her about needing a new hero before they came to the village. Garam asks if she's talking about the saintess in Luke's party. She confirms that he is right and says that she will tell the saintess about Lugo, the same saintess who betrayed and killed him. Few weeks after the investigators left, Lilim had to fight a terrifying monster behind her clinic. She asks if Paisha is ready. Paisha says that she is. Thus, they begin the fight against the overgrown weeds in the backyard. It was left alone for far too long, but now it was time for the final showdown. With scythes in their hands, they charge at the overgrown weeds, but after 3 hours of non-stop fighting, Lilim's back hurts, and Paisha is completely burned out. Paisha asks why they suddenly started to mow grass. Lilim says that she wanted to make a garden so she can grow her own herbs instead of having the sylphs get them from the forest. Paisha says that the sylphs can gather as many herbs as Lilim wants from the forest. Lilim is worried that the sylphs might be attacked by monsters and says that she would be heartbroken if they got hurt because of her. Paisha is moved after seeing how much Lilim cares about the sylphs. Determined, she gets up and runs to get reinforcements. Lilim wonders what she means. Lugo appears after a few minutes, telling them that he can take care of it easily. Lilim thinks that even he might have a hard time against the weeds. He asks them to fall back as it could be dangerous. She asks what could possibly be so dangerous about weeding grass. With one swing, a tornado forms and cuts all the grass in its path. Both of them are surprised to see how their 3 hours of hard work was useless. The whole garden is cleared. Lugo asks if it's good enough, and Paisha praises Lugo, saying that it was to be expected of him. He asks about their plans for the backyard, and Paisha says that they are trying to make a garden there. He asks if she is planting any specific seeds, and Lilim quickly goes through her pouch to pull out some roca seeds used for mana recovery potions. Lugo is impressed that she picked one of the most important and hard-to-find seeds. He asks if she's planning to plant any other seeds, and she tells him that she wants to plant some for stamina potions and some for wounds as well. Lugo immediately gets to work, saying that he enjoys working with soil. Lilim smiles and sits next to him while saying that he was great help for them. She starts to teach him how to plant the seeds, and Paisha grins in the back, shipping the both of them. After the whole garden was completed, Lilim thanks Lugo and says that she will repay him another time. He tells her that it won't be necessary and asks her not to hesitate if she needs help in the future. Lilim remembers that she once told the elder that Lugo was a suspicious person who might be linked to Hero Luke's death, but now, even though his helmet is a little creepy, she knows that he would never hurt her or anyone in the village. She wonders if she thinks that way because she trusts him a little. She then agrees to his request and tells him that she will ask for his help when she needs it. He tells her not to hold back. She also tells him that he can ask for help in return whenever he wants. Lugo thinks for a while and says that he will be counting on her when the time comes. She didn't know that she would come to regret those words very soon. The next day, the clinic is in an uproar. Paisha quickly comes to check on Lilim. Lilim points at her table, covered with thousands of letters requesting medicine mixes, all of them with delicate formulas that would take ages to manufacture without proper equipment. Paisha says that some are asking for powerful aphrodisiacs, poison, and even fast-acting sleeping drugs, wondering if those things are even legal. Lilim says that she will report all of those requests later, but still, she wonders why she got so many requests all at once. Lugo enters the clinic and is surprised to see that Lilim got so many letters. He explains that he also got many letters. He says that it was Luluel who spread their names in the capital. Lilim is grateful, but also not really, and Lugo is 100% not grateful for this, especially about the letter he received with a seal from the Holy Church. Lilim's eyes shine as she looks at the letter, saying that it's a huge deal to get a request from the church. Paisha is confused and asks what that means. Lilim explains that the church is where the saintess belongs, and the saintess was in a party with Luke the Adventurer himself. Paisha asks what kind of request they made. Lugo explains that she wants him to join her party, and that the saintess will be visiting the village soon. He shows the letter to them to prove that he wasn't lying. Lilim says that he should totally join the saintess's party. Lugo doesn't want to. Lilim asks for the reason, and he tells her that he has a bad past with Lisha the saintess, and if they met face to face, she might do something awful to him again. Hearing him say bad experience, Lilim and Paisha immediately think it was a romantic drama. Lugo denies this and says that he wants nothing to do with the saintess. Lilim says that Lugo seems like a guy with a lot of history. Lugo asks for a favor from her, and she agrees. He asks her to meet the saintess in his stead and turn down the invitation. Lilim starts to sweat after hearing the request. Her hands tremble as she brings out tea for the guests. Although she wanted to help Lugo, she didn't think it would be like this. She slowly places the tea on the table, and the saintess thanks her with a smile. Lilim sits across from the saintess, the golden silky hair and a grace that radiates from her entire being. Alongside the holy knight by her side, she was undoubtedly the saintess. Lilim initiates the conversation and asks about the saintess's visit. The saintess asks Lilim not to be so nervous. Before Lilim can say anything, the sylph queen says that Lilim has no reason to freak out since she has been acknowledged by the sylph queen herself. The saintess says that the sylph was exactly right, and that she heard about Lilim's excellence as a doctor. She also says that she heard rumors about the fairy queen Tiemia. The queen says that it's natural to hear about her, and Lilim thanks the saintess for the praise, clearly embarrassed. Right after, the saintess tells both of them that they will be going to the capital with her for service there. She asks about Lugo's whereabouts as well. Both of them are stunned. Lilim says that she clearly declined this before, and Tiemia also wouldn't dream about leaving the Azima village, but they are met with a sword pointing at them by the holy knight. The saintess stops the knight and says that knights are hot-blooded creatures. She tells the knight that she can't harm the future saintess candidate Lilim. This was news to Lilim. She asks since when she became a saintess candidate. The saintess starts taking a sip of tea again and tells Lilim that she has the intelligence to run the clinic at such a young age and skills sharp enough to impress Luluel. She is deeply trusted by the villagers, and most of all, possesses a healing presence which is a gift. She one-sidedly seals a deal and decides to make Lilim a saint, promising her great glory. Lilim doesn't want any part in it. Lilim was warned by Lugo about the saintess. He knew that the saintess would try something like this. He told her that if she let the saintess take control, she would play right into her hands. Lilim thought that a saintess would never do something like that. Lugo tried to warn her that it's a tactic she always uses, pretending to be graceful to catch people off guard and then taking control. He sternly told her to bulldoze herself out of the conversation if the saintess tried something. Lilim finally believed his words and speaks out. The saintess asks if something is wrong. Lilim says that she herself, Tiemia, and Lugo have all declined the request and asks the saintess to leave immediately. Tiemia is proud of Lilim. The saintess is shocked that the conversation tactic fell through. Lilim waits to see what the saintess does. The saintess says that there must have been a misunderstanding. Lilim understands. The saintess lifts her finger, and a magic circle forms behind them. The saintess says that it's a teleportation circle to the capital. Once they are safely in the capital, she is sure all the confusion will be cleared. Tiemia tries to pull Lilim out of the circle, but now she's caught in it too. The saintess says that she's glad that Tiemia came on her own without having to use force. Tiemia wonders if the saintess is a psychopath. The circle starts glowing brighter, and the holy knight also joins in. Lilim finally realizes the full scale of the mess they are in. She remembers putting off Lugo's words as exaggeration when he said something like this would happen. Lugo explained that he is only saying this because he's been through it once. He also assured her he would be there in a flash if something bad happened. She shouts for him, and he bursts through the window. He stayed nearby just in case, but he didn't think she would bring a teleportation circle. Lilim asks for help, and he tries to reach them. The saintess says that it's truly convenient that all three of them showed up, saving her the time to escort them to the capital. The teleportation starts taking effect. Lugo was too late. With a bright flash, they all disappear from the room. Paisha arrives with the sweet buns she got for the guests, but nobody is home. She wonders where Lilim and the others went. At the Holy Arat Church, Lilim holds the sacred vestments in front of her, wondering if she can really wear such fine clothes. But she would feel weird not putting them on. When the magic circle activated, she asked if there was no way to stop the magic. But Lugo told her that it couldn't be stopped once it's invoked. Lugo tells Lilim that they will be deep in enemy territory and asks her not to cause a scene once they are in the capital until he finds a way out. She trusts his judgment and puts on the saint's clothes. The outfit is custom-tailored for her and fits perfectly, with real gold accents. She pretends to be a saintess in front of the mirror and says, "Everyone obey my words," and like the video. Just then, Tiemia appears and asks how long Lilim plans to take just to change clothes. Lilim screams in embarrassment. Thankfully, Tiemia didn't hear anything, so Lilim quickly changes topics to Tiemia's outfit. Tiemia poses and says that she will be Sister Tiemia from now on. Lilim says that she looks super cute, and Tiemia spins around for her. Tiemia remembers something and tells Lilim to follow her. Outside, Tiemia presents Lilim with Lugo. Lilim says that the combination isn't working, and Tiemia laughs so hard her stomach hurts. He tells them that it's just for the trial period. The saintess arrives while they are talking and tells them they all look good. She tells them to follow her for a tour of the chapel. Inside, the magnificent craftsmanship takes Lilim and Tiemia's breath away. Lilim says it's her first time in a chapel. They walk up to a picture of a holy knight with a phoenix. Lilim notices the woman in the picture is the goddess of the church, but she's never seen the bird before. Before the saintess can explain, Lugo unconsciously tells them it's the phoenix Venex. Lilim asks if it can really heal any wound like the stories say, wondering if that would put doctors like her out of business. Lugo tells her that no matter how many times it's killed, it regenerates and returns for revenge, an extremely troublesome bird. The saintess wonders how he knows so much, and he says it's general knowledge. Lilim and Tiemia have never heard this before. Tiemia hopes an artist will paint her like the picture someday. Lugo tells her the beings in the picture are both blessings that exist, and says she could be painted like that if she made a name for herself and became a legend. She hugs him and says she'll work hard to make it come true. The saintess, who was plotting something, asks if Lugo isn't interested in becoming one. With his knowledge and strength, he could surely become a legend. He tells her outright he has no interest. She walks up to him and grabs his hand, just like she did with Lilim, telling him to become a holy knight and then a legend. He tries to refuse again, but she ignores him to take control. She tells him he could be painted standing proudly next to the saintess herself. Lilim also believes he could be one. He refuses again, saying he has no interest. The saintess pushes further, saying he could become interested now. She insists the armor suits him and suggests making a white version of his helmet if he prefers it. He pulls his hand away and sternly tells her he's refused multiple times, even back then, and demands she take the hint, as he never wants to be a holy knight. Lilim and Tiamia are shocked, having never seen him angry before. The saintess asks if it's a misunderstanding, claiming this is the first time she's asked him to become a holy knight. Tiamia asks if she meant their talk in the village, but Lilim says he never refused back then. He tells the saintess again he has no plans to be a holy knight before walking away to see the next place. The saintess tries to stop him from going the wrong way. Lilim and Tiamia think something is off. Lugo said he had bad memories with Saintess Lisha, but Lisha treats him like it's their first meeting. They wonder what's going on. While the saintess shows them around, Lilim and Tiamia walk a few steps behind, thinking of all the possibilities. Lugo knows Lisha, but Lisha acts as if she has no clue. Lilim says that maybe it's because he hides his face with the helmet, but still, his voice and gestures would be hard to miss even with the helmet. Tiamia remembers when he took his helmet off in front of her. She says that Lilim is right, and adds that some armor comes enchanted with recognition-blocking spells to hide the wearer's true identity. She whispers to Lilim that Lugo might have a reason to hide from the saintess. Lilim understands, as the saintess seems so forceful that he might be trying to stay off her radar. Just then, there is a commotion in front of them. When they look over, they are surprised to see some of the saintess's contenders and sisters pushing themselves onto Lugo, asking if he wants to go out with them, and that they want to hear about his heroic tales. Lugo finds it uncomfortable. Lilim is surprised, and Tiamia is angry. Lilim says that he is super popular now, and Tiamia says that no one paid heed to him back in the village. The saintess tells them that the church is filled with women who rarely get to meet men. Lilim asks if such intense physical contact is really okay. The saintess explains that men who become holy knights are expected to remain celibate for life in devotion to the goddess Arat, but women are free to pursue romance as they please. Tiamia is angrier now, saying that Lugo looks completely overwhelmed. She rushes towards them to peel them off of him, but Lugo grabs their hands and gently pushes them away, to everyone's surprise. He bows and apologizes, saying that he is on guard duty and asks them to find him later. The girls fall harder for him and tell him he must come back. He runs back to Lilim and asks for her hand since the crowd is getting thick. He tells her he can't protect her if they are apart, and Lilim is totally embarrassed. She hesitates since so many people are watching. The girls from before are envious of her. He apologizes for the inconvenience, but asks her to understand since they are in unfamiliar territory. After thinking, she gives in and accepts his hand. Tiamia also wants him to hold her hand. He tells her he can't protect her if he has both hands tied up. She finds it unfair when he puts it that way, and the saintess asks if they can continue the tour. She shows them the grand cathedral, the altar, and the choir room. Lilim says that the church is amazing, as if they are in a sacred theme park. The saintess thanks them. Tiamia says that Lilim is a goofball for not noticing. Lilim is confused, and Lugo explains that the place is more of a fortress than a theme park. The outside grounds are crawling with holy knights. The saintess says that it's necessary to have forces to protect the saints and sisters. Lilim's expression changes, and the saintess turns to tell them they've arrived at the final facility, the sacred sanctuary. They enter the huge room. Tiamia says that it's just a big, empty room. Lilim thinks it looks lonely since it's all white from top to bottom. The saintess tells them it's the most important room where the Holy Scripture is kept. Lilim wonders what the Holy Scripture is. The saintess extends her hand to Lilim and asks her to come with her. Lilim glances at Lugo and thinks it will be fine since he is there. Tiamia asks Lugo if everything will be fine. Lugo says that he doesn't sense any danger for now, but it would get troublesome if they refused. He says he will be on guard. They reach the Holy Scripture, an empty book. The saintess stands behind Lilim and asks her to pray to the goddess Arat. Lilim tells her that there is nothing written on the book. The saintess tells her that only when a person with qualities of a saintess prays does the prophecy of goddess Arat begin to appear in the book. The saintess places Lilim's hand on the book and tells her there is no need to be nervous. Lilim asks if the divine revelation she mentioned in the village was from this book. She smiles and nods. She tells Lilim she received 3 revelations. One about a monster girl who would bring salvation to the kingdom. Second, about the long-awaited strong person she's been searching for who can oppose the monsters, which she assumes is Lugo. And then the third. She pauses, and Lelam looks up to see the saintess looking scary as she says that the third revelation was about a troublesome someone. Lelam is caught off guard. The saintess returns to her usual self and says the revelation was about a human girl with extraordinary talent chosen as a saint. After their brief talk, she was charmed by Lilam's talent and captivated. She grabs Lilam's hand again. Lilam pulls back and asks her to stop. This time, the saintess grabs her firmly and asks if Lilam knew that only human girls can become saintesses. Lilam is shocked. Tiemia finds it weird that Lisha is being so touchy with Lilam, and Lugo agrees. The saintess says the third prophecy reveals the girl from Azuma village is actually a monster, and wonders if the rule of sainthood will be a problem, clearly threatening Lilam. Lilam is scared and tries to get help, but the saintess tells her not to move. It would take time for her comrades to reach them, and if she ran, she'd be deemed a monster and eliminated. She threatens Lilam again, telling her to pray and prove her innocence if she doesn't want to die. She grabs Lilam and slams her hand on the book. With no choice, Lilam starts praying. A huge golden light emits from the book, almost blinding. Words form in front of them, one stating Lilam is not human. The saintess says her revelation was true after all. Lilam is on the brink of crying when the saintess points her magic at her and says, "Die." Lilam closes her eyes. But before she's killed, Lugo saves her. He apologizes for being late. His arm is bleeding from blocking the attack. Lilam worries, but he says it's just a scratch. The saintess tells Lugo to move aside while preparing another attack. Lilam is a monster disguised as a human. She must be eliminated before she harms anyone. Lugo is confused. Lilam trembles, repeating it's not true and apologizing over and over. Lugo hugs her and says it's okay. They should have left this hellhole sooner. The saintess prepares another attack and asks if he thinks they can escape. Lugo lifts his hand and calls for Tiemia. She grabs his hand and starts flying as fast as she can. When Lilam apologizes, Tiemia says it's the crazy saintess's fault, not hers. As they near the door, hidden magic circles appear all around it. Holy knights teleport in front of them, blocking the path. It was a trap from the beginning. The saintess says the knights won't let them escape while readying her attack. As they were floating in the middle of the room, they had no escape to the front or back. Lilam notices that it was the first time she has ever seen Lugo hurt, and that was all because of her. Lugo asks Lilam to lift her hand. When she does, Tiemia grabs her and lets go of Lugo. Lugo asks Tiemia to take care of Lilam. She doesn't understand what's going on but knows what she's supposed to do. Lugo drops down, and Tiemia asks him not to die. Lugo says that it would be impossible even if he wanted to. The knights point their hands towards him, and he lifts his hand. They think he is begging for his life, but he was casting a spell. The saintess asks how he can do such a thing. He uses the spell and places it on Tiemia and Lilam. They start flying with unimaginable speed. The saintess asks if he lost his mind attacking his own allies. Ironic coming from her, Lugo thinks. Tiemia tells the knights to get out of her way. They think she's going to body slam them. Lugo says he is counting on Tiemia. She can't believe there's come a time when she's taking orders from a human while casting wind magic to blast through the knights. He tells Lilam to grab on tight, and then Tiemia flies through all the knights straight to the magic teleportation circle. The saintess shouts at the knights to stop them. Lugo knows if they touch the circle before it fades, they'll be teleported outside. The saintess starts shouting again, but it's too late. They don't know where it will go, but no one can stop them once they're out. Lilam looks at Lugo, who is behind all the knights. He waves and asks them to leave the rest to him. Tiemia touches the circle, and they disappear, leaving only Lugo. The saintess snaps and asks if he knows what he just did, making enemies with the saintess and the Holy Arat Church. Lugo asks what she's about to do about it. The saintess says he seems unaware of how terrifying she is. She declares she is the saintess who once adventured with the hero Luke while pulling out the holy sword. She says she is the guardian of the world who destroys those who bring harm to others. He says he remembers her delusion very well. His arm is almost completely healed. Seeing him heal without magic, she says he is also a monster, just like Lilam. She thinks he allowed 3 monsters to set foot in the holy sanctuary. He says he's not a monster, and even if Lilam and Tiemia are, they cherish peace and each other and deserve to live peacefully. The saintess says coexisting with monsters is nonsense, and if he takes their side, he's no different. She tells him to stay still and accept his divine punishment. The attack forms under his feet, and he dodges. The saintess, going crazy, says he can use gravity magic and healing magic, and also has the agility to dodge the holy sword, calling him a monster again. He dodges everything and says she's just repeating herself at this point. She says she doesn't even know him. After dodging another attack, he asks if she really doesn't know him. She ignores the question and says monsters like him should be killed. She drives the sword into the ground. He's almost fully engulfed in bright light while she says she made sure to eliminate everyone stronger than her. Holy lights form around him, blocking his movement. She tells the knights to slay him, and they run at him. Thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed.